Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda and this is Confidence Mindset with Amanda. So in this video I want to talk about wavering when we are manifesting for particular desires to experience in our life. So when we waver, we're not so much wavering on the desire being ours, we're wavering on the disbelief within ourselves. So what do I mean by this? We fall into disbelief within ourselves because we allow the 3D to pull us back into what is familiar and what is comfortable. And as we have been learning and growing and thinking a certain way over a period of time in our life, the first thing we do when we wake up in the morning is remember how we woke up the day before. And we are programmed to continue the same cycle because of what we have learned. However, when we get into conscious manifesting, we know this and we know that we can change it by the thoughts. And as we start to change the thoughts, our brain and body only knows what it knows so far. And so there will be difficulties and challenges to get past that whole old story that we have been programmed with. But if we remember that the 3D is an illusion to the past, because every moment we are in the present moment, but every day that we wake up in the present moment, we are reliving what we have learned and memories and thoughts and everything from the day before, the moment before, and it's all coming from the past, which means it's not real. The only real thing that we actually have is our connection to that higher consciousness within us, love, abundance, everything that is pure, inner peace, harmony. These are the truths of us. And the only reason why we fear or we disbelieve is because we have been pulled down through experiences and thoughts and things that we have learned through a society that has been programming us throughout our life. I hope I'm making sense. So when we look at it from this perspective, we can look at it, the 3D, as not real. Wavering then is, you could look at it then as society pulling us back down into that level so that we won't achieve the desire that is actually meant for us. But however, if we don't want to look at it in that kind of way, we can also look at it from a religious standpoint, and we could look at getting, when we waver, we are not believing then in the true power of God, in the true power of love and abundance and the faith in the unseen. Because if we look, for example, of Lot's wife in the Bible, she put her faith in the 3D illusion, which she could see, rather than putting it into the faith of what she couldn't see, which was salvation. And because she put her faith into the 3D, which was an illusion and it wasn't real, she ended up becoming a pillar of salt, which meant that she stood in time and she never moved forward. So we don't want this because we are moving forward to what we want. She didn't get to her salvation because of, she decided that the 3D world was more real than her God, telling her that you will experience salvation in the unseen if you trust the process. And so when we waver, that is all that is. It's basically just the 3D just pulling us down. It's becoming real to us because what we are trying to tell ourselves is not in alignment with what we are experiencing. And yes, I know this can be difficult with things that we see in our reality and things that we experience, but we also have to remember that anything that we see and experience is coming from what our interpretation has been of it as we have learned throughout our life, if I'm making sense. So, for example, if you are suffering from a loss, your brain is going through the experiences that you may have had about loss, or even just the idea of the concept of loss and what that means. And because it has a negative connotation, it makes your body then react, and it makes your brain react in a negative way. And so basically it's just your mind that is telling you that it is this story. But when you get into conscious manifesting, you are changing the story and knowing that the 3D is an illusion and that your thoughts are the only thing that are going to create. Now, this doesn't mean that we don't, that our feelings aren't valid, because of course they are. We're human, we have emotions, and we're allowed to feel them. But it's about overcoming them, as I say on my channel, and understanding that nothing is permanent because it's not real. The only thing that would, like, everything just has a meaning because of how we have learned it. Because I can understand love in a different way that somebody else may understand it. I can understand religion in a different way that somebody else may understand it. If you get what I see, if you get what I mean, it's how we have been programmed and learned throughout our life. And I just wanted to bring up that idea that when we get into conscious manifesting, we are coming into our true selves, which is all love, all joy, all bliss, all abundance. And so this desire that we're manifesting is ours, and it's only the 3D that's pulling us back. It's not our desire. Our desire is coming from God, higher self. God wants you to experience heaven. I don't want to be insensitive in that way, but however, your desire is a feeling of heaven, because heaven implies all love, all joy, all bliss, all, peace, inner harmony. We strive for the heaven experience. We don't strive for the concept of hell experience, because hell is disbelief, it's fear, it's illusion, it's not real. And so when we wavering is really just, disbelieving in ourselves. And this, happens because we're human and we're experiencing this 3D in our reality, and we have to go through all the emotions because of how we are experiencing it. And when we get into conscious manifesting, we understand it from more of a spiritual path. And so I wanted then to talk about, Plato's idea, because I do like to look at the history of things, because I am a humanities major in politics and English literature, so I've done a lot of philosophy and theory over the period of my degree. But anyway, I looked at Plato, the Republic, and the allegory of the cave, as everybody knows the story of that. They're all tied to this one side of the wall, and they are just seeing the shadows of themselves and the shadows of the objects through the fire that is behind them. They're only looking at one side. And then the idea is, if a prisoner gets out and sees the light and sees the real world, and the real world is, from my perspective anyway, coming from perfection, all love, all harmony, all peace, all everything that we strive for when we want a relationship, when we want financial freedom, when we want a loving family, and we want our house and our car. We want to experience the goodness and abundance of life. And in the book it says, then, if you come back, if the person goes out and sees the light, and then the person comes back and is blinded by the light, the others in the cave are going to assume then that it's going to be harmful to experience the light, and so they stay down in the darkness, in a sense, because it's a novelty. It's a novelty to be in the darkness. And that's what the 3D is. 3D is a novelty for us to stay in a comfortable way, so that we won't, elevate up into our higher consciousness, so that we won't manifest what it is that we want, so that we don't go through all the repetition of our affirmations, because of how we can experience disbelief in everything within ourselves, and transitions of anxiety and stress, and how it feels to overcome the novelty of being in the 3D, if you get what I'm trying to say. Just like what in Plato's Republic allegory of the cave, it's the novelty of being in the darkness. Because when the prisoner comes back, blinded by the sun, because they've been in the cave for so long, and they assume then, that it's harmful to be out in the light. But it's not. It's just that personal development and growth can be challenging, because we're changing our inner selves, we're changing the inner story, and it's challenging. And if you want to take it on as a lifestyle change, it's going to be challenging to recondition your mind to see interpretations and everything that you see in the 3D as being just old memories of the past. As I say, what Dr. Joe Dispenza is, that's the concept that he used. We want to unmemorize the past and memorize the future, and that's what we're doing when we're consciously manifesting. And so when you waver, understand that it does not mean that you're not going to get your desire. It only means that you're disconnecting from the union that you hold within with your higher consciousness. You're just disconnecting from your disbelief and confidence and belief within yourself. And so this is why I say, if you work on your mindset, you will have less intrusive thoughts. But understand that the wavering never, it has no harm on your manifestation. It's got nothing to do with your manifestation. All it ever really has to do with is you disconnecting from yourself. So with that being said, how do we get back into connection when we waver? Because obviously, we're human, we're going to waver sometimes. But I just wanted to make the point clear that wavering doesn't, it's got nothing to do with your manifestation. And it's really just when we get knocked out of alignment with things that are being said to us in our 3D, or things that we experience in our 3D, things that bring us back into this illusion of the memories that we have learned over the years of what it is that is being presented to us, and the interpretation that's coming out from our brains for us to see it in that such way. And so just remember this then, when if you do find yourself wavering, that you're still going to get your manifestation, because it's got absolutely nothing to do with your manifestation. It's only just about your confidence and belief within yourself. And so remember that the real world is your heaven world, which is all love, all joy, all bliss, all abundance, all harmony, all peace. And you are supposed to experience that, because that is the truth of who you are. And this is who your desire, that's what your desire is as well too. It's the truth of who you are. You don't get a desire for the simple reason of not experiencing it. So the wavering is simply just us disconnecting from the belief within ourselves. Now, of course, we are human, and so this is going to happen, obviously, inevitably. But the ways that we get out of that, then, as I was about to say, is through our affirmations and our repetition and things that we can do for ourselves. This is why you'd notice, if you really focus on your self-concept, you'll manifest things in a lot quicker and easier as well, because you're coming into your power, in a sense, into your love, into your higher consciousness power. And that's why you notice then, when you're in that confidence, alignment and belief within yourself, that things do start to shift and change. So that's why I wanted to put out the message that it's all about building the belief and confidence within yourself, and continuing with the repetition over and over and over again, until you get what you want. And then when you get what you want, you go on to the whatever else that you want. It's about waking up every day and embodying and reading that story that you have for yourself, and just becoming it, and not allowing anything in the 3D to tell you any otherwise. Because remember, it is just an illusion. It really is, because we just have the present moment. And I'm going to end this video here, because I feel like I'm rambling on a bit. But I hope that this video will just put a different kind of perspective into what wavering really is when we are manifesting. It's got nothing to do with your desire. All it has to do with is falling out of the connection with yourself. And yes, of course, this happens because we're human, and we experience off days, we experience emotions, we experience, bodily pains and stuff like that, because of things that we may be going through. We experience traumas, and we experience all these things because of how we have lived life and what we have learned. But however, we can overcome them. And when we do have bad days, we know that we can pick ourselves up the next day, and it's going to be different, because it's all about the dominant way of being. It's all about how many times you can overcome it. It's not about being positive 24/7. It's about how many times you teach your brain and your body to overcome and overcome and overcome. So I just wanted to make a quick video on that. Like and subscribe if you wish, and I will chat to you soon.